Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the Saem Love Me Multi Palette. I picked this up because I thought that it looked so cute. I have the heart-shaped blushes from the same collection and I just love a nice heart-shaped pan. I think that it looks absolutely adorable. However, when it arrived I was kind of like, those are not the colours that I thought I was looking at. It was a surprise. A lot of the colours are a lot more red than they look in the photos. However, when I compared them to the swatches, they did look pretty similar to what they had actually swatched on the promotion. It's just that the color of the palette itself, like the picture of the palette, is definitely more cool toned. So I was kind of like, oh, this like red orange down here is very red orange. It kind of just looked like a slightly warm toned brown in the photos, but anyway. I ended up choosing the multi palette over the just shadow palette because I thought that the blushes would be really cute, and I thought that if they had really good colours then I would be able to use it for travel. Unfortunately, not so much because I don't really like the colours. However, I do think that it is a great idea and it is an okay shape. I do wish that they had a mirror in the front rather than having the see-through face here, because that would make it more convenient for travel. It does feel a little bit cheap. But yeah, there's not that much you can do when you have like an entirely plastic lid, I guess. So the product description says, a selection of 9 lusciously soft and silky eyeshadows in heart-shaped shades, complete with 2 wearable rosy blushes to complete your natural yet romantic makeup. The packaging is kind of sweet in a way. It definitely does remind me of the makeups that I had as a teenager because it has that plastic lid that feels extremely cheap and then just like the basic pans. It doesn't feel expensive, it definitely does feel very cheap, but like I said, I guess there's not that much you can do when your component is entirely plastic. All of the pans are shaped like hearts, which I think is absolutely adorable, and I feel like the pan sizes are really great. I feel like the blush sizes are a good size that you can actually get your brush in and give it a good swirl without feeling like you're contaminating it with the eyeshadows. Nobody wants to be putting on their blush and then having like a brown eyeshadow smearing around at the same time. That's not cute. The shade selection is very interesting. Like I said before, I was expecting them to be a bit more cool toned, but they definitely are very warm and very heavy on the pink and red shades, which is interesting. I don't think that there are any shades in here that I gravitate towards and want to wear all the time. In general, I haven't used this palette very much at all because the shades are just not my favorite, basically. So I'm just going to go through as I swatch them. So I'm starting with this shimmery champagne up in the corner here. So this is what that champagne shimmer looks like. It has a little bit of a pink tone to it. I think it is really pretty and it is very easy to apply as well. Next up is this pinky brown matte shade here. So that is what that pinky brown matte shade looks like there. I think it's a really pretty colour, but I feel like when I use it all over my lid I do look like I've got a little bit of pink eye. I'm just not a fan of hugely pink shades all over my lid. It looks really nicely blended to me, but in the camera I can see that it does look a little bit patchy over here. I don't know why. Maybe the camera is just better than my own eyes, who knows. The next shade is this really beautiful brown shimmer here. This shade is super pretty and I find that it's really pigmented if I apply it with my fingers. However, I can get a really nice pigmentation level if I use a brush as well. It just takes a little bit longer to build it up. So that is what the shade looks like there. I think that it is really lovely. I don't get a huge amount of wear out of it, but I still think that the colour is really beautiful. The last shade in this row is that very dark brown over here, and again I'm going to use a blending brush because for me I usually use this in the outer third sort of place. The shade does blend out eventually, but like you can see it's kind of hard work, especially if you want it to be blended out into nothing. If you blend it out into another colour, it's definitely a lot easier than this, but I'm on struggle street today. Alright, that's as good as it's gonna get. So that is the dark brown shade in the corner. It is really pretty colour, so it's a really nice like greyish brown, but like I said, I find it really difficult to blend out. If you blend it out into another colour, it's fine, but blending it out onto just like my bare skin, it's not having a good time, and neither am I. The next shade is in between the 2 blush shades, which I'll do last, and it is just like a pale, milky nothingness colour. I don't know. This one is a little bit confusing because it has no shimmer. It's just a kind of beige toned matte, but I can kind of see it on my eyelid there. It's a little bit more orangey than my own skin tone is. a little bit pinker maybe you could say as well. Overall it could make a nice base shade if it matches your skin tone a little bit more, but for me it kind of looks a little bit pinky orangey, so it's not really as like bright and neutral as it looks in the pan. So that is what that shade looks like there. The next shade over it is another foiled sort of shade, and it's like this very interesting gold colour. So I'm just applying this one with a flat packing brush or shader brush, whatever you want to call it, rather than a blending brush because I don't want to flick the glitter everywhere. The shade is really pretty. I just don't feel like I get that much wear out of it, that's all. I don't think it's the best colour for my complexion. The next shade is a really nice little transition shade. It's quite a warm toned light brown or mid-coloured brown, so again I'm going to be using a blending brush. So that is the brown there. The blending looks a little bit rough, but it's actually not too bad in real life. It just looks not great on camera. So that is the colour. I think that it is, like I said, one of the more useful colours, but it's not something that I really gravitate towards, but still, not bad. The last matte shade we have down here is a burnt orange sort of brown. It didn't look quite this like orangey in the pictures, but it is an interesting colour. It does work well to like deepen up the outer corners and things like that, but I feel like it's just not a colour that I gravitate towards this one. It's not, like it's an orangey brown, like it's just not me whatsoever, but that's fine. Alright, so the blending looks fine in person, but it looks pretty bad on camera, so sorry about that. But that is the darker brown colour there. Not the darkest, but it's the orangey dark brown, so yep. And then the last shadow shade is right down here, and it is a really pretty brown shimmer. It does have a bit of fallout, so I just have to make sure that I don't pick up a huge amount each time. But this is a really pretty colour, and I think this is what I'm going to put on the other eye while I do the cheek swatches so that I don't look too strange. So I'm just going to blend that out afterwards. But that is that shade there. Again, really pretty brown taupey kind of colour, but it's got that kind of orangey gold glitter, which I don't particularly love, but still quite nice. So now I'm going to apply both the blushes. I'm going to apply this one on this side of my cheek, which is the lighter pink, and then the more corally colour I'm just going to apply on the other side so that you can see both colours in comparison. Both of them are quite easy to apply, though I find that the corally colour tends to over apply quite a lot. I'm just using a Zoeva brush. This is a Luxe Cheek Finish brush, and they do have a bit of fallout, so they do make the pans a little bit messy inside the case, but it's not a big deal. So that is the pink. It's very, very, very shimmery. It's a very light colour, so you can very barely see it, so in comparison to that cheek. And then this is the other colour on the other side. So this is the more corally sort of, this looks a bit brown, at least on me. I find this one a little bit harder to work with. It's much more pigmented, and it actually does look a little bit over the top for me. Although I feel like this lighting is very like dull today. I'm filming earlier than I usually would, so the lighting's a little bit different. But that is the corally colour there, so I think it still looks really nice. It's just, I mean, like, if I look at it up close it looks a little bit patchy. This one, I think this is way too shiny for me. It's like a highlight almost, but like all over my cheek right now. This one is, it's not super matte, but it has like a little bit of a glow. It's a bit more like it's got a pink to purple pearlescent shine. So I'm just going to change the colour settings and zoom you guys in. Hold on a second. It's a little bit warmer. So this is the lighter pink pearlescent colour, and then this is the darker sort of like pinky purple pearl coral. Both are really pretty. I don't like how shiny that is. And this one I find a little bit hard to work with. But also this is what the eyes look like after I've done both eyes and mascara and eyelashes. So it is a really pretty colour all over the lid, that little satin one. So I think that this shadow palette is actually quite nice in some ways and not in other ways. So we'll start with the eyeshadows. The eyeshadows actually work really well. They're very pigmented, they're easy to blend, easy to apply. I just don't particularly like the colours. I think my favourite colour is probably that sparkly colour up here, that very light sparkle. It's kind of just like a champagne and pink glitter. The pink transition is okay, but it is a very pink brown transition. So unless you're doing like a cherry colour, which I would use my cherry palette for, it doesn't really tie in that well with the rest of the shades. The blushes are, again, a nice 50-50. I do actually like this lighter pink colour. I think it looks really nice. However, it is one of those sticky blushes, so when I place the colour down, it does tend to stick to the foundation underneath and it's harder to blend it out. The other colour is much more orange than anticipated and much darker. It looks suspiciously normal. It looks like a nice peach. It looks like something I would love to wear, but in reality it's a very browny orange and I don't like it for me personally. So overall, while I think that this palette is fairly good, it does work, they're just not colours that I like, and I find the packaging very cheap and hard to store. So unfortunately this is not something that is going to stay in my collection. However, if you like a really warm toned browns, then this is a palette that you may want to pick up. I do think that the little like Love Me section on the front is gorgeous, but because it's clear plastic, I haven't even used it that much and it's so dirty, like you can see the fingerprints through it and it just looks bad. So like I said, I would recommend it for anybody who likes the colours, but it's just not for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this review and I will see you in the next one.